Maybe you've got some games in your collection that, for whatever reason, you never get a chance to play. Maybe they're older games that are getting pushed out by newer, hotter games. Or maybe they're really complex games that take a while to set up or just take a while to play. Well, today I've got 7 tips to help you play your games more. Hey, it's Jared Boomer from Specifically Solo. And when I was coming up with this list, a couple of different types of games came to mind for me. One type of game that I thought of were campaign games or legacy games. These are normally games that have a lot of pieces. Sometimes sessions can take a while. Sometimes the rule set is changing and you kind of forget it from game to game if you go away from that game for too long. And the other type of game I was thinking of is older games in my collection. Games that I've had since I've started playing board games that I still really enjoy, I look at on the shelf, but for whatever reason, they get pushed out due to newer games, hotter games that I want to play. So hopefully these tips will help you. 7 tips to help you play your board games more. Let's go ahead and get into tip number 1. So tip number 1 sounds simple, but it is to just set the game up. Get it out on the table. If you can't set it up or if you can't leave it set up, then at least get the box out. Look at the components. Look at the rule book. Remind yourself why you enjoy playing the game. Also, if you can set it up and leave it set up, if you have a dedicated gaming space, then even if you don't play the game that session or that time, that's okay. When you come back to the table, everything will be set up, you'll be ready to go, and you can just jump into the game and hopefully get that game played more. So that's my first tip, is to just set it up. My second tip goes along with that, but is a little bit easier to do, and that is to watch reviews of the game, maybe watch a how to play video or a playthrough, go to the game's page on Board Game Geek. Again, just familiarize yourself with that game once again. Remember why you enjoyed playing that game. Maybe read some reviews of people that have played the game. Maybe you look at some user comments and ratings on Board Game Geek, and that will conjure up some memories of, oh, I really did enjoy this part of the game, or I really like that mechanism, or, oh, you're looking at the pictures of the game. Oh yeah, that is really cool. That component in that game is really neat and really fun to play with, or the board's really awesome. Things like that. Things will just help you to kind of stimulate yourself to play that game more. So tip number 2, watch some reviews, look up some photos of the game, go to the games page on Board Game Geek. Again, trying to remind yourself why you enjoy that game so much. Tip number 3 is to make a board gaming challenge. So maybe you've decided on some games that you're like, yeah, I would really like to play that more. I need to get that to the table more. Then you can set up a challenge in an app called BG Stats, which I'll put a link to in the description. This is the app that I use to track all of my board game plays. And you can also do challenges in there. You can say, I want to play this game a certain number of times, or I want to play, 5 games 10 times each. Or it can even sort your collection by year, and you can say, I want to play all my games from 2021 or whatever that I have. So there's a lot of different things you can do in the app, but that takes some of the guesswork out of it when you are ready to play a game. When you have time to play a game, you can sit down, get something to the table. You can just look in there and say, oh, I should play one of these 5 or 10 games that I've already pre-selected as ones that I want to make sure that I get played. So it's very easy to create a challenge in BG Stats. The challenges expansion in the app does cost, I think, $1 or $2, but it's well worth it, and it will do a great job of tracking your challenges. It even has a little progress bar, and you can decide how long you want the challenge to go on for. You can say, I want to get this done in the next 30 days, 60 days. You could say, I have till the end of the year to do this. Whatever the case may be, I use it to, again, track all my plays. Challenges are great too. That's the BG Stats app. So tip number 3, make a board game challenge. Tip number 4, related to that, if you are a solo player, which I'm assuming you are if you're watching this video, but if not, this tip is for solo players, and that is to look up solo challenges on Board Game Geek in the One Player Guild. I will post a link to this in the description as well. But every month there are certain games that get solo challenges in the One Player Guild. And what you do is, if it's, it's usually kind of a simple game that the setup can be the same for everybody. So take something like cartographers. Maybe you use certain scoring cards in cartographers or a certain map. And you're trying to just get the highest score possible. And then when you have played the game and you have your score, you go back to the solo challenges page on the One Player Guild on Board Game Geek, and you post your score. And whoever has the highest score that month wins the challenge. It's kind of a fun little thing to be able to compete against other people, even though you're all playing the game solo. And again, it gives you motivation to get that game to the table and to play that game. Now, I will say they don't have solo challenges for every game. Some games it's really tough to try and have everybody have the same setup or same cards that kind of come out during the course of the game. But usually for simpler games, easier games, abstract games, there will be challenges up there. So definitely check that out. Again, it's solo challenges in the one player guild. I'll put a link in the description. My fifth tip is one that would cost you a little bit of money, but could help you play the game. And that is buy an expansion for that game or an upgrade to freshen up gameplay. Maybe you buy, maybe you have a game that you really love that you say, oh, I've been hearing a lot about this expansion. I'll get the expansion and that'll help me play this game more. Or, oh, these components look really cool, these upgraded components or metal coins or whatever the case may be. Maybe I'll grab some of those and that'll help me get this game to the table. Yes, that does cost some money, and so that's why this tip is further down on the list, but it could really motivate you or spark you to play that game because now you have an interest in playing that game. You didn't buy a new game, you just bought something for an old game that you really enjoy and you love. So that's tip 5, buy an expansion, buy an upgrade, something like that. Tip number 6 is even if you don't play a full game, that's okay. So you've set the game up, you've started to go back through the rule book, you're trying to familiarize yourself with the game again, and you start playing and you're like, this is just too much right now. I can't do it. I'm going to pack it up. I'm going to put it away. That's okay. Even if you play for 20 or 30 minutes, you got reacquainted with that game. You familiarized with yourself with that game once again. Again, reminding yourself why you enjoyed that game so much. And hopefully you had a few of those moments during that play session. If you can leave it set up and come back to it later, that's great. But even if you have to pick it up, hey, at least you started playing that game a little bit. And then maybe the next time you play, you play a full game or you play more of the game or whatever the case is. I think that can really help you is just sit down and take a few turns, play a few rounds. If it's a campaign game, maybe read a few, things in the storybook or get through a few challenges or something like that to start that session. And then, like I said, if you have to walk away, that's okay, but at least you played it, and that's a positive. So that's tip number 6. Even if you don't play a full game, that's okay. And tip number 7 is to do a gaming marathon. You can do this if you're a solo player or if you're somebody that plays with other people as well. But just pick out like 5 or 6 games. And if you have the time, if you can set aside a day, maybe a weekend, maybe a day you're off work, something like that, you say, I'm going to play these 4 or 5 games in this 8-hour time span or whatever. And I'm going to get them all to the table. I'm going to just, game pretty much all day. That can help you, renew your interest in those games, enjoy those games, and get those games played. So there you go. 7 tips to hopefully help you play your games more. I hope that helps. I hope those tips are useful to you. If you have other ones that you think are good, be sure to comment those below and we can help everybody out here. We can help each other out getting our games played more. If you enjoyed this video, be sure to like and subscribe to the channel. I've got lots of other lists and also solo reviews as well. Some very cool stuff coming down the pipeline. I've got a copy of SETI, so I'm excited to review that. Also going to be getting a copy, I think, of Conservice, the new solo-only game, so excited to check that one out too. Galactic Cruise is supposed to be on the way here very soon as well, so lots of reviews and, overviews and things coming in the next couple of months. So if you enjoyed this video, again, be sure to like and subscribe. Until next time, I'm Jared. You've been checking out Specifically Solo.